Coaches, Rick Stewart of All Access Coaching. I'm really excited to bring you this free video, and make sure you hit the subscribe and like button down below. It gives us valuable data as far as what coaches want. And also, if I can get to 1,000 subscribers, I'll start doing weekly YouTube clinics for free. And if you hit the like and subscribe button, you'll get notified when we upload new content. We're uploading 3 or 4 videos every week.
Okay, a very, kind of the unicorn here, the 5-leaf clover, Flexbone play calling process. There's a lot of talk about this, and there's not one way. Obviously, everybody would do it. It's not an exact science, and I'm going to go through my thoughts on it and show you some things that I do to help come up with the play, each play that and the thoughts behind it. I think in general, all offenses are looking for the same thing. It doesn't matter if you're wing T, under center, spread, whatever. You're looking for a numbers advantage, a defensive angles, leverage, or bubbles advantage, personnel matchups. You're looking for unoccupied space or natural voids, good grass, so to speak. Where's their space to advance the football in a most basic sense. Also, offensive football is about how to move the ball by how you handle those 11 defenders in the different structures they line up. We block them, we read them, we go away from them, we try to influence them or fool them or beat them in some kind of way, turn them loose and beat them or beat them in the passing game. So that's, for what it's worth, I think that's what it comes down to, those things we all have in common. I think play calling, you have to understand, you got to be thick-skinned. You're probably your own worst critic, but be fair to yourself. Because play calling is the most analyzed, scrutinized, and criticized aspect of coaching, I think, that you see. And you're dealing with ever-changing variables, not to mention, boneheaded high school kids or even young college kids. But there's time is always ticking against you. The overall game clock, also the immediately play clock. Personnel, us and them, those things are going through your mind. The chess match of what they're doing, what we're doing, what we need to be doing. The game situation, there's never a time when the game situation is exactly the same 2 times in football, because you're at a different point in the game, even if it's another 2nd and 3 from the exact same spot. So down the distance, field position, hash score, weather, injuries, every situation is unique, and that's challenging. And then you're always considering ability and matchups, whether it's favorable or not. So it's a huge challenge. Play calling is certainly not as easy as some people make it look. Things that we don't do you're not wrong if you do it, in my opinion. I just hadn't found a way or purpose in the way that I've done things to justify the time to do these things. We don't script plays going in a game. Honestly, I think it would be a waste of time because there's no guarantee what you're going to see. We don't try to break tendencies with play calls. Number one, we don't self-scout because what we're running in theory should be based on what you're doing at that time, at that game. So what you've shown on 3 films versus spread teams or wing T or split back veer may not be what you do against Flexbone. And so formulating your tendencies or our tendencies, tendencies we may develop against a team running a 3-4 who's doing something quirky to the field that pushes it to the boundary all night may not be what you do. So why would I want to script a bunch of plays forced to the field? Because that might not be the challenge that night. Last thing is we don't really try to establish something necessarily. All the people say we want to establish the fullback. Man, if they are squeezing the heck out of that fullback and closing him off, and there's just not much good grass in there. We got to be willing to get to something. Now, I'm not trying to satisfy a quota or number or percentage of numbers of play, certain play to get to. We may not have time. The game may be 21-0. The more we try to establish something. Here's I guess you could say our ethos or our mantra. To me, play calling is mostly a calculated. It's a strong word. I'm not a scientist. I'm not smart enough, but it's a decision made on information and using play systems to protect the play call with a few blind tempo or special calls mixed in. We try to call it as we see it and communicate it. All play callers call plays that aren't successful. We never want a play to be unsuccessful because it's something that we can control pre-snap. We want the last say before the play or the chalk last, So the play itself, is it sound? call it, we can confirm it, we can check it, we can change it pre-snap. We can look at the best side of the play. We can look at the best scheme for the play. So we don't want a play to be unsuccessful because it's something we can control before the ball snapped. And we want to try to use little tricks and trades to have the chalk last. The big money question to me is, regardless of result, if given the same information, would you have made the same decision on a play call? That's how you should evaluate yourself. I don't care if you got thrown for a 5-yard loss, because in hindsight, we don't get that ability to call the play. The fans do get the ability to scrutinize you, but we got to call the play on foresight with information presented to us. But if your answer is yes, you would have, then trust your process. It's good. If no, then where's it broken? Is the communication not accurate or clear? He's saying one thing, but really he means something else. That's a coaching issue. Is one of the play system processes broken down? Is the player scheme itself not sound? Okay, we're not blocking that sound against that front. I still like to play, but we got to figure out a better way to block it. Or we're asking the players to do something they can't do. You know, we got a weak receiver against press corner. Yes, a sound to call a fade against him, no safety help, but can you win that battle? Okay, you gotta judge those things. But it's not fair, productive, in my opinion, to just judge a play, judge the process more than just the play result. Okay, the big three, kind of the first thing that kind of leading or getting ready to call plays is game planning, game prep, and game adjusting. And we'll talk about each one real quick. Game planning is a broad term, means different things to different people. For us, for me, over the years, in this offense at the high school level, it basically means a scouting report. Okay, we're gonna personnel ourselves and them. I think every defender and every defense has a DNA. We want to find out what their DNA is. Sure, they can play something different. They can put different people in different positions, but we still want to DNA them as much as we can. Specifics by position, but also define the defense as a whole. Or they a stack and attack team, a line and assignment, start the front. I like to come up with little rhyming phrases, read and react, things like that to say, okay, this is the kind of team they are. I don't care what structure, how they play spread, how they play other teams. They're never going to get too far away from that identity, okay? And then we look for personnel definites with their corners, their down techs, their backers. When do they split their feet when they're blitzing, those kind of things. And then we look for defensive definites. And I'll show you a sample scout report here in a second. And then we try to predict the defense. It's not an exact science, and it's certainly not foolproof. I've been wrong many times to say, you know, we won't find out till Friday night at 7 o'clock exactly what they're going to play, but we try to make a calculated guess based on several considerations of past and present things. Is being game ready, okay? Game preparation, and this is where I think it's tricky to prioritize your reps. Just like they say, it's hard to get ready for the Flexbone in 3 days. Well, it's hard to get ready for what you might see in 3 days. And so predicting the defense, prioritizing practice reps is all important, but just as important is keeping all of our schemes available. And you don't have time to practice them. I've always been pretty much have coached on a team that could not platoon. So we had to really put 10 pounds of stuff in a 5-pound bag, if you know what I mean. So we kept those schemes. And one of the biggest things we did, and we troubleshoot as the week goes on, continue to speculate, is a simple drill. I don't have any video of it right now, but a simple drill is basically half line. But this is my first 10 minutes after warm up. It's half line without the A-backs. And it's center guard, tackle, tight end if I need one, quarterback, fullback. See, we're working on shoots and boards. We're getting snaps. We're getting mesh. And we're not only getting reads, and these guys that are playing defense over here for me are the same guys all year long. And all I tell them, unless I tell them to pinch or easy, I say make the quarterback wrong. Give him the hardest read every day in practice on mid and triple. And I tell them what the play is. Hey, this is midline coming right here, or this is triple. We are reading you. Make it hard, okay? And you can do something fun for them every time they make the quarterback wrong miss. But not only do we get live reads, but we also get all of our adjustment schemes. Monday might be the even day. We work to the right, then to the left. Tuesday might be your odd day. So we're always have our adjustment schemes available for each week. It's not like, well, this team has shown a 4.25. That's what we're going to sell out to. Well, maybe on your team reps more so than anything, but your practice reps and your preparation is still that. And this is where the rubber meets the road, guys. Game adjusting. We can do all that, but at some point, we don't want to waste a play, possession, quarter, or certainly not a half of football until we can, quote unquote, adjust to something. Sideline video is helpful between possessions, but during the possession, communication to me is still king. And it's what we're seeing that night, what we're communicating that night. Coach Starron, who is at Wagner, Texas, does. You want to see an offensive line and an offense that will smack you in the face, that's your guy. But we were talking about that recently on our thread, and it brought up a great point. The communication between coaches is so critical. Talk and see the same things the same way. And it doesn't happen overnight. And I think it's worth practicing. It may sound corny, but coaches' game input and info, man, is having an eye chart and guys glued to what they see. They see specific, and they are specific with their communication. Don't narrate. Don't be a fan. Okay. Don't be a cheerleader. Don't be emotional. Be specific and be accurate. Play suggestions are okay between series, but during the series, it's really not productive. Hey, what about a this? Or hey, what about a that? So these are things that I think are worth communicating with your staff or your offensive guys. Is that input and what to watch. Put on some film. Say, okay, you're responsible for the backside defensive end and the backside backer. Okay. Run a play. Say, how would you explain to me what they just did? And you get on the same page. To me, it's more than worth it.
Coaches, I really hope you got some great information from that YouTube video. Again, hit the subscribe and like button down below. It gives us valuable data. And if I get to 1,000 subscribers, I'll do free YouTube clinics. And you also get notified when I'm doing those YouTube clinics and when I upload new content to this channel. Thanks for watching, coaches.